Hi, Kathryn here with Circle Art Designs. Today on my work table, I will be working on 3 stackable memory wire bangles. This will be a set of bangles that I will call Summer Blooms. And I just love the lightness of these bangles and the way they fit together. I can hardly wait to show you how I've made them. So let's get started. So as I turn my eyes to my work table, the first thing I see is this beautiful Simply Grateful. And I have to tell you, I have been so blessed over the last 24 hours. First of all, I'll start with the little story of our car broke down. And it was kind of a little scary. My daughter and I were out. She was driving and she says, "Oh no." And then, "Oh no." And then, "Oh no." And the car died. Started right back up. We were in a parking lot. That's the first thing I am simply grateful for. And she was able to start it. It went a few feet, stopped again, went a few feet, stopped again. But she got in the parking lot under a shade tree. The next thing that happened was we called a friend to see if she could come get us. And she called right back. And not only did she come get us, but this dear friend of ours said, "Why don't you borrow the car this week? I'm working from home. My husband and I have other cars, and go ahead and just use my car for the week and you won't have to rent one." And then AAA showed up and took it to the shop. Now we heard today from the shop and they said, "Oh, it's not this and it's not that. We're going to have to look again in the morning and see if we can figure out what's wrong with it." And that's always a little scary. But there are so many blessings God has given us in just this one incident. And I am simply grateful for His providence and His saving grace that was upon us during this time. So what do you have to be grateful for today? All right, let's get started. Now we're going to be making 3 bangles, but we're going to be using the same bead set for all 3 bangles. So let's start up at the top with a little bottle of white beads. These are 11O seed beads and a crystal AB. And this is from my own stash, and I think I picked these up at Hobby Lobby. Now, if you'll go on around towards the right on that top, you will see some sunflower charms. These sunflower charms I picked up at Amazon. I have them in gold, silver, and copper, and I'm going to use the silver today. And on from that, they're kind of blurry, but you'll see them better in a bit. This is Hummingbird. These are double-sided charms in the silver, and I picked these up off an Etsy shop, and if I can find the name, I'll put it down below in the description. But if you Google Hummingbird charms on Etsy, there were several shops that had these same little hummingbirds. And this is from my own stash. Going all the way over to the right-hand corner here, we have some barrel beads. These are 3x4 faceted barrel beads in gold tone. This is off of Amazon. I got them probably during COVID, and they had a deal going on, and you got silver and gold and copper and rose gold faceted, these are all tones, faceted barrel beads in all the different colors. So this is from my own stash. Now, all the beads I'm working with today, technically, I can say are all from my own stash because they're extra beads that I have had left over from Bargain Bead Box in the past, or they're ones that I have bought. Now, going down from the barrel beads, you will see these beautiful green bicones. This is a 4mm peridot. Is that how you say that? Peridot? Not barrel beads, bicones. And they're from my own stash. And right across from that is the light sapphire bicones, also in the 4mm. And this is also from my own stash. Now going straight down to the middle, you will see these beautiful curve spacer bars. They're twisted. They have a twist in them. I believe I got these from Fire Mountain. I believe they are a 0.5mm and they are beautiful. But when you look them up on Fire Mountain, it says that they're sterling silver, but I cannot remember. Again, this is something I went on a buying spree during COVID and I bought them. I used them for a project. I stuck them in my own bag and did not bother to put anything with them. But they are gorgeous. In this picture, you can't really tell how gorgeous that silver is because of my lighting. And it's giving them a cast from the pink and the purple, and it kind of gives this goldy color to it, but they really are silver. Now then, going on up from the leftover from one of my Bargain Bead Box projects, this is a beautiful crystal faceted lantern beads in an amethyst coating, and they are so beautiful. I used these for several projects when they came in, and you know, I still have a whole little bag of these, and I'm so excited. They fell down to the bottom of my stash box, and whenever I was looking for this bracelet, they kind of popped up to the front. I went, oh, look at that. I love this. I just love this. These are actually, I believe, from May of last year. So it's appropriate that I pull them out during May 2024. And then going up from there, these are some 8mm bead caps. I got these at a bead convention I went to, I want to say early in 2023. But I'm not for sure. So any bead cap that's an 8mm would be beautiful on this. All right, let's get started. So one of the things we're going to need for this is the memory wire. We're going to cut 3 single loops. Now, the difference between the loops that I will be cutting today and the ones I've done before is that I'm just going to go slightly past where the end of the memory wire is, because I will be putting an extender on this so that it can stretch out for a lot of different sizes, and it will still be secure and you won't lose it. So right there, I went maybe 1/4 of an inch over. I'm going to take my memory wire cutters. They look like little parrot beaks. Put it right inside there and then clip it. Now remember, you want to use memory wire cutters because anything that's stainless steel you cut with takes a chance of chewing up your good cutters if you don't use ones made specifically for stainless steel. So I've got 3 of those rounds done, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make an end. I'm using my straight nose pliers for this after I get the string off of it. I'm going to catch it right on the end with nothing hanging out, because if you have it hanging out, it'll hang out and catch your material. And I'm turning it all the way down until it touches, just like that. Make sure it's closed well or it'll eat your first bead. And so that's that one. I'm going to go ahead and turn all of them at the same time. And you just want to start with 1 turn because we still have to put on our beads. So again, small little turns, just like you do a roll down loop, until it touches the memory wire itself. Make sure they're all closed. I have all 3 of them done here, and we will be ready to start beading with our first bracelet. So the first thing we're going to do is put down our bracelet beadboard, and I'm going to start out with this little pin. And yes, my bracelet beadboard is upside down, but that's okay because I'm just putting on what I want the components to look like. So on the pin, I put on a barrel bead, and then I put on one green bicones, those peridots. Then I put on a bead cap, the rose, and the 8mm bead, another bead cap, and then another of the green peridot bicones, and then I will add another of the faceted barrel beads. And that is going to be my middle bracelet. That will be what I do. And I've added 2 of those curved twisted spacer bars that will go on either end of that. And that's going to be the complete round of that bracelet. Now the next bracelet I want to do, let's see here. And quartz. I don't know why I had a brain lapse, but I did. 8mm rose quartz. So this next bracelet, I'm going to start with one of those 11-0 crystal AB seed beads. And then I am going to add on one of the light blue bicones in that light blue sapphire. And then I'm going to add on the amethyst lantern bead, that faceted I've got issues today. The faceted amethyst lantern bead. Then I'm going to add another one of the bicones in that blue, and then I will add a 11-0, and that's going to be the component for the next one. Now for our last bracelet, what I will do is taking another one of my pins from my sewing. I'm going to put on the blue and then the lantern bead and then the blue. So this will be a component with blue, amethyst blue, the curved spacer bar, then again the blue, amethyst blue, and a curved spacer bar. Now I'm mixing these around because I want them to have space on the wrist so they're not bumping into each other. And that's why I started out by putting it on this beadboard so I could see what I was going to do with it. So for the next one, we will be using the blue, amethyst blue, just like we did before. Then we will put on a barrel bead. The next thing we're going to put on this will be a bicone and then the lantern bead and a bicone. So it will be, whether it's blue or green, it'll either go green, amethyst green, bicone, blue, amethyst, blue, bicone, with the curved spacer ball bars in between. Let me see if I can get a picture. All right, this is how I have it tentatively set up for the 3 bracelets. At the very top, you will see what I will do as my last bracelet. This will be 11-0 seed bead, a sapphire bicone, an amethyst lantern bead, a barrel bead, a peridot bicone, a lantern bead, a bicone, and a barrel bead. So what will end up happening is that each section, one with the sapphire blue bicones and one with the peridot green bicones, will be separated by those silver faceted barrel beads. And I will do that as a complete round. At least that is tentatively my plan. Things change when you actually get it on the wire. Okay, For the middle one, if you go straight down closest to the hummingbird charm, this will be the one I use the 8mm rose quartz in. And it will start out with a peridot bicone, a bead cap, an 8mm rose quartz in the round bead, a bead cap, that peridot bicone, a barrel bead, a twist curved spacer bar, and there will be a barrel bead on both sides of this component, and there will be a curved spacer bar on both sides of this component. And this is going to be the middle bracelet, or at least that's the game plan right now. So for the last one that I'm going to do, it'll actually be second, I believe, on the video. I'm going to do that sapphire blue bicone, a lantern bead, a sapphire blue bicone, and then I will have the curved spacer ball in that twist curve spacer bar, not ball. And now that I am using the 11/0 seed beads as I see needed to fill out the space that I need to make a complete bangle. So with that said, let's get started. Okay, let's go ahead and take one of our memory wire circles. Well, let's pull the things that I'm going to need for this particular bracelet. Now, as I said earlier, I will be starting with the middle bracelet in this 3 stackable bracelets. And I am going to start out here, if I can get my hands back up where they need to be, with a barrel bead, just like that. And then I am going to go ahead and put on, there you go. I'm going to pull this up so I can see what I have done. And I'm going to go ahead and put on the spacer bar in that beautiful twist curve. I love that. And then I'm going to put on another of the barrel beads. From there, I'm putting on the peridot green. I love this green. Isn't that lovely? Bicone. And like I said, this came in a whole set of bicones, and I got these off of Amazon. And then I'm going to add one of my 11/0 seed beads, and I'm going to put on a bead cap, and then this 8mm rose quartz. I love rose quartz. It has always been my favorite. Isn't that beautiful? I just love that. Then I'll go ahead and put on, I'm playing with the lights. Did I get that light on? And I'll go ahead and put on another bead cap. Make sure you get your bead caps going the right way. The beauty of this is they're all separate bangles, and so you don't have to take them off of lots of rounds if you get it wrong. Then an 11/0 seed bead. And then I'm going to go ahead and put on the bicone in that lovely luscious green. And then I will put on a barrel bead and another one of the curved spacer bars. I love these. They are so pretty. Isn't that a beautiful? I mean, this would be lovely just to wear on its own. And that's a lovely thing, since I'm making them separate and they all have extenders on them. You can wear them individually or in 2s or all 3s. It doesn't matter. So again, we're going with a barrel bead. Then we're going with a 11/0 seed bead, a bicone, a barrel bead, a bicone, an 11/0 seed bead, and then just move that right like that. Yep. And then a bead cap, your rose quartz, a bead cap, if I can get that on, another 11-0 seed bead. I love this crystal AB seed bead. They are just so sparkly and beautiful. Then again, the period dot green bicone. Then your barrel bead and another one of the spacer bars. Now what I was showing there is I'm looking to make sure that the middle is sitting right over where the end of the bracelet is. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish this up for you, and then I will come back so you don't have to show me go all the way around. Here we go. So remember when I said all plans were tentative? Well, when I got to the end of this one, I had too much space. So I took everything off, and it just took adding an extra bicone at the beginning right there, and then a extra bicone, I believe, at the end. And I had enough that I could finish this up. Let me see if I can show you what I did. Trying to get all this out of the way so I can set this down. And so now it's come to the end where I want it to be. And this bracelet is ready to be finished off so the beads don't fall off. Now there's still a little more than I want on here, so I'm going to take my memory wire cutters again. When I cut the end, I try to remember to push it towards the mat when I clip it because I don't want this shooting up and hitting me in the eye. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my straight nose pliers just like we did at the beginning, and I am going to roll this down. But now as I'm looking at this, I'm going, that still looks like an awful lot. Let's see here. Put that back on. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut just a little bit more of this off. You want to have about a little more than 1/4 of an inch is all you want to turn down. And that makes a nice size loop. Even a little less than 1/4 of an inch is okay. It just depends on where you feel comfortable holding that memory wire on your straight nose pliers. So I've done that and I've closed it up, and this one is finished. Isn't that pretty? Now we'll go on to the next bracelet. So when you are doing bracelets like this, I cannot stress enough how helpful it is to set these beads up on a pin from your sewing, because what it does is first it makes sure everything's going to fit, but then you have a visual to go by. So I have started this with a barrel bead, and then I put on a spacer bar and then another barrel bead. And now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, what did I start my other one out with? You want your spacer bars to offset the beads on the previous bracelet. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my lanterns in, my sapphire bicones in, and I'm going to move all this stuff out of the way. And I'm going to start with the beads this time. Last time I started, let's look. You see, last time I started with this spacer ball or spacer bars. And so this time I'm going to start with the beads. And in order to make sure that loop is closed, I'm going ahead and I'm pulling out the seed beads. I'm going to put an 11-0 seed bead on first, and then I'm going to put on a sapphire, and then another of the 11-0s, and then a lantern, and an 11-0, and a sapphire, and 11-0. Just like that. I'm going to bring this down and look at it and make sure it's how I want it. And that should close off, and it should space these out with the spacer bars hitting on the second bracelet in a different place. Now, will they move around your arm? Absolutely. But to begin with, you want them to be in a different space. So now then I'm going to put on my barrel bead, then my spacer bar and my barrel bead. And that is the round for this one. So let's see if we can't do this one again. Let's check it first and make sure this is going to hit in a different place. I'm sorry that it's kind of fallen out of the camera. There you go. And so it is. It is falling in a different space, that bead over there, and the new one where the spacer bar is on the second bracelet. Okay, so now then, an 11-0. Remember we ended with the barrel bead. Then we're going to put on a bicone, an 11-0, a lantern bead, an 11-0, a bicone. Let's see if we get this done now. Now see, isn't that pretty? And it's lovely. I think it's just lovely. Then we'll go ahead and put on our 11-0. Sorry, I didn't get it on the first. Well, actually I did, and then I threw it off whenever I was doing that. And then our barrel bead and another spacer bar. Now these spacer bars come just plain, or you can get the twisted. I like the twisted because of the way it catches the light. Now I'm checking to make sure these are coming across with each other. I like where they're ending up, and I'm going to continue this pattern on until we get to the other side. So here we are at the other side, and I have ended. I'm trying to decide how I want to end this. I'm going to go ahead and end it with that lantern bead. I just do not want to put a full rotation on here because I don't want them overlapping too much, because it will make it hard whenever you are putting on your extender. So I'm looking at it and going, what do I want? Do I really want to put another one of these on? I'm not sure that's what I want to do. I like that, but that's sure going to loop it close. But I'm going to go ahead and do that because, you know, it'll make it a little close, but it gives it a finished look. And again, with little turns, you're going to turn this down with your straight nose pliers, just like you did in the beginning, until you get it really closed. All righty, put it inside. And now I have two. And they're going to sit just beautifully together. I am so happy. Aren't those pretty? I love them. All right, let's go on to the next one. So for this next one, I've gone ahead and put out my pin with my beads on it. I know what the component's going to look like. I'm going to start off with a barrel bead. Then I'm going to do the peridot bicone. And then I'm going to do a seed bead. Come on, seed bead. And then So what I did, because I got a little ahead of myself, as I put on the bicone, a seed bead, the peridot bicone, the seed bead, and the lantern bead. Now another seed bead. There you go. And let's see what I've got down here. All right. So you can see bicone, barrel bead, seed bead, bicone, seed bead, lantern, seed bead, bicone, and then barrel bead. All right, now with that one, we're going right into, from that barrel bead, we're going on to the sapphire blue. Then we are going to wait for it to get back up in the picture. There you go, seed bead and a barrel bead. And it should look just like that. Let me get you a picture. Okay, I have to tell you, when I speed these things up so that they're not long, or they are long, but they would be longer if I didn't speed them up, my pictures and my hands get ahead of my brain. Okay, so I just find it easier to just take a snapshot and show you what I'm talking about. So when we see this, we have a barrel bead, a seed bead, a peridot green bicone. Then we have our lantern bead. Then we have the peridot bicone, a seed bead, and a barrel bead. Now coming off of that barrel bead, we're going to have another seed bead, a sapphire blue bicone, then we're going to have our lantern bead in that beautiful amethyst color, and a sapphire blue bicone, a seed bead, and a barrel bead. Now then, this will not have, I don't believe, you know what, I'm not going to say that yet because I don't remember. I finished this bracelet late one evening and I'm not sure what I settled on. So let's hang on just a minute and we'll catch up with ourselves. Okay, here we go. But before we move on, would you take a moment, please, and like this video if you are having fun or enjoying this? And would you also leave a comment? And if you haven't already, would you please subscribe to our channel and share it with a friend? That would be awesome. Thank you so much. All right, let's pick up where we left off. And I have to tell you, yes, I did use the spacer bars on this one. I just could not remember. What happened was when I got it all the way around finished, then I thought it looked too heavy with the other two. And that's something you have to take into consideration when you're designing for yourself or for someone else. You want everything to be balanced. So what I did, and I'm showing it here, is that I put on the first set with the barrel beads, the green period dot, and the lantern bead, ending with a barrel bead on the other side. Then I did the same thing and I put on the sapphires. When I finished both of those, that made a single component, and I went ahead and put on a spacer bar in that curved twist spacer bar. And then I started again with the same thing until I got all the way around. And I'll meet you on the other side when I get this done. Isn't that pretty? Okay, I'll be right back. You didn't really want to see me put that all together, did you? Okay, so now then I'm turning down my circle just like I have done on all the rest of them, and we've got that done. Now isn't that lovely? These bracelets are bright and shiny and just gorgeous. But whenever I put this one down, did you notice how it lapped over? I decided that was too much of a lap, and I started to just cut this out, but I thought, no, you should see what I'm doing. So what I did was I opened that back up, and I am going to add a seed bead on here, just like that. And then I'm going to cut off just a little bit. Now the reason I added the seed bead is, remember, we want something to keep from going up in that circle. So I put a seed bead, I cut a little off, and then I'm going to twist it. And this time I am putting that loop slightly higher up on my straight nose pliers so that it will make a slightly larger circle. And then I'm going to close it up, make sure everything is closed well, and this bracelet will be ready for its extender. It's one thing if it's going over a little bit, it's another thing if it's going over a lot. Now, aren't those pretty? This could be finished just like this. And you wouldn't need any extenders on it or anything. If I was making this for myself, this would be finished for me. But since I'm putting it up in the shop, I want to go ahead and put closures on it and extenders. And I showed you we will need a looper for that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a few of the seed beads on there. And the first thing I'm going to do, because I'm going to put a charm on each one of the extenders, I'm deciding what I want to go. Now for the one where I use rose quartz, it is not a big deal. I know I'm going to use rose quartz, and I am using a 20 gauge head pin for this. If I wasn't, I would be using a turned down loop, or I would be using one of the a wire wrap loop. But this, since I am using a gauge that will hold up to these charms, I'm going to go ahead and use my looper. Now for the other one, if you will remember, we used a lantern and a green and a lantern and a blue. So each one of these bracelets will get a charm that will match the beads. When you're using the looper, when it's straight, then you push it back a little bit, you make a question mark, you close it up, then you bend it the other way to make sure that loop is right back over the center of it. And that's what I'm doing here. So again, a lantern bead, put it on there. And then we're using the period dot. We're going to use the looper. It goes across, butt your bead right up against the end. Push it back a little bit to make that question mark. And then go ahead using your straight nose pliers, close it down a little bit, and then make sure the loop is really closed. I can't tell you how often in the beginning I went, oh, it's closed. And that was enough for me until it fell off. And then I was very sad. So make sure your loops are closed and they're always centered. Now I tell you, I did not end up using the 11-0 seed beads in this for the charms because they would not go all the way down on the 20 gauge head pin. Now I am pulling some little 4mm jump rings. I am going to use jump rings in this, holding the jump ring between two straight nose or a straight nose and a curved nose plier. Twist one side, go ahead and put your charm on, and then you can put on your extender and then close it up. Now the trick to closing these is once you have got them closed, feel the top. If it's rough, it's not closed. I don't care what it looks like. It is really not closed. And so you need to play with it a little bit till it's smooth on the top. Again, this time, put your charm on, put your extender on, go ahead and close that up just like that. Feel the top. Make sure that it's not rough. This one is still rough. That means one side has jumped over the other side, I'm sure. And I'm just playing with it until I get it to be smooth feeling. And once that's done, then I know that's closed. Now, another reason you want it to be smooth is you don't want it to hang on your clothes and you don't want it to scratch your skin. And so you should do everything when you're making jewelry to try to prevent that. It's not completely impossible, but if you have done your due diligence, that's all you can do when you are making handmade jewelry. But remember, do your due diligence. All right, we're closing that other one up, and these extenders are ready to go on to the bracelets. And this one is also giving me a little bit of trouble. And I'm just going to play with this until I get it smooth feeling. And it really does. It's when it is smooth and there's no hanging on your finger, it really is closed. And that is awesome. All righty. I remember this one was hard. Did you see? I finally saw it. I finally got an angle where I could see. And what had happened was, when this one came from the factory, one side was under the other side, and I could not get it to go up and close. I have had to take them off before and just throw those away and get another one. But this one I worked with until we got it. Now I am using the rings, these little heart claws, lobster claws. They're shaped like a heart and they are so pretty and I love them, and it just gives that little added oomph to the back of your bracelet, because remember, bangles roll around. It doesn't matter how hard you try, they're going to roll around. So now I've opened a jump ring and I am putting the extender on just like that. I'm going to close it up and we're going to go through the same thing. We're going to feel and make sure that jump ring is closed. Then I'm going to open another jump ring. Actually, I've already opened these. And then I'm going to put the little heart on and close it up, and that will be finished. And I'm going to do this to each one of these bracelets. When I get them done, I will be back. I put my heart out and I'm ready to see the final product. Now this is the first one we did. I put a little charm on it, and I used a 5mm jump ring, and I put that sunflower charm on the curved piece itself, on that curved bar, because I want that to be able to move up and down with the bracelet. Now isn't that pretty? And that's just a matter of opening up, put the jump ring, putting your piece on, your charm on, and then closing it back up. And that is that one. Now this one is the second one we did. I also put a sunflower on that. And then on this third one, I put on the hummingbird. Now, if I was wearing these, the way I would wear them is the hummingbird would be at the very bottom. And that's what I'm showing you here. So you have the hummingbird with the sapphire and the peridot. You have the rose quartz going next. And then you have the sapphire and lantern with another sunflower. So yes, that does put the sunflowers together. The difference with the hummingbird, and you could put it at the top or the bottom, that's just the way I would wear it, is I put the hummingbird on the beads themselves, as you can see here. That way that hummingbird is going to stay in place, but the sunflowers will move around. And here are pictures to share with you. Aren't those lovely? I just love them. Thank you so much for joining me on this beading adventure today. I've had a lot of fun. It takes a little while to do, even editing, to do enough, to do the time to show you enough that you know what I did and how I did it and why I did it. But I hope that you've learned something today. I hope you've laughed with me. It's okay if you laughed at me. And I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed weekend. I will see you next week. Kathryn, circleartdesigns.net. Oh, and these bracelets are up in the shop at circleartdesigns.net. Please stop by and check us out. Thank you so much. God bless y'all.